Let's talk about the great yellow paint debate.
Oh, the head rush. All right.
Luke, do you want to start it for us?
Yeah, so, okay. You know how you were like, yeah, I don't really have, like, feelings about this or whatever? We've never talked about it.
Well, we should talk about it first. Okay, fine. I'll go through the thing.
I can do it. I was just going to say...
Luke's going to do it. No. We got to go through the thing first. Then we talk about it.
Sure.
All right.
The online argument over developers' use of hyper-obvious yellow paint to guide players has reignited after the Final Fantasy Rebirth demo had Cloud Strife climb up a cliff face with some very artificial-looking yellow rocks. This is a debate that has been going on since October of last year, somehow, never heard about that, to a screenshot of a yellow-painted splattered ladder in the Resident Evil 4 remake. Many players have argued that this is an obnoxious and immersion-breaking tactic to guide players that demonstrates a level of laziness and lack of creativity. Some game designers have pointed out that these kinds of very obvious cues are often retroactive changes in response to playtesters repeatedly getting stuck. Still, others have argued that these kinds of extremely obvious signals should be an option within a game's settings. Dinga Bakaba, the director of Deathloop, called avoiding these more obvious forms of guidance a choice and investment that requires a lot of communication between disciplines during development in order to ensure that such guidance is logically consistent within a game's world. And if I remember correctly, Deathloop actually had some really cool versions of this that were quite creative. So I think a good person to listen to on that. Discussion questions. How should game designers balance potential player frustration with breaking immersion? And have you ever just completely failed to find an obvious progression point in a game and gotten stuck?
This is from one of the Tomb Raider games. Shadow, I think? Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Oh, they actually did this. Okay.
So... somehow we've never talked about this on the WAN show before, and if this is such a huge debate, I'm sort of surprised that it completely escaped our notice. I think I have what might be a bit of a hot take here, and that's who gives a fuck? And I have probably just antagonized half of the entire gaming community now. You know, this is what happens. This is how influencers eventually diminish their audience to nothing. All you have to do is once a week alienate half of your audience,
and then eventually,
and in no time at all, you'll have nothing.
Yeah, eventually you'll have half a person. Yeah, I don't really care either.
I didn't even notice it. I just thought it was because I first saw it in the first Tomb Raider, and I was like, oh, you can tell where to go.
I usually
that seems pretty useful.
That there's some decent explanation, like even that Tomb Raider one. In my opinion, the easy one, it just looks like it's been climbed. That just looks like where?
It's paint.
Is it paint?
Yeah, if you get close enough to it,
away?
yeah. It's just the quality. It's definitely white paint on stuff. Okay. It's a thing.
I mean, I don't mind it too much. This is actually a thing that some people do in certain areas. Like if there's hiking routes that have bits that you're supposed to climb, sometimes they are marked out so that they're easier to see. I think Assassin's Creed games in the back in the day, they would often have I might just be making this up, but I don't think I am. I believe they would have cans of paint at the bottom of certain ladders that would have paint on them so that it looked like it was like an accident. I believe that's a trick that's been used. Deathloop, I believe, was an example that people have used where they would use design elements to literally have like arrows pointing at the door you're supposed to go into, but the arrow would be like the sign for a shop or something. And they would put lights on it. So it's like really obvious, a big arrow with lights on it pointing at a door, but it's like,
honestly,
it doesn't say go here to progress. It's just some store, but it's more obvious than other things. So it kind of naturally brings you
if
there.
You're going to have an obvious thing, like maybe at least, okay, look, I've seen obvious cues for where to go and what to do that just were not obvious to me and honestly weren't fun. Half-Life Alyx has a puzzle. Have you played Alyx?
No. I can't play VR at my place. It's too small.
Okay. Anyway. That's sad.
That's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah.
The basement suite actually had significantly more usable space for VR.
Right.
The current place does not.
Okay. Well, at any rate, it has this puzzle where you do something and like a whole bunch of stuff comes flying up into the air. And if you look through it, there's like a code you have to enter. And if you align with it in exactly the right way, it makes an eye. And it's looking at the right code combo because there's like a whole bunch of them on the wall. I can tell it's a fucking eye.
You want to know one of the puzzles that I thought was just the worst?
And it wasn't fun. Like, it was just, in typical Half-Life fashion, it was just like kind of a slog until I get to the next story.
There goes another half.
Life.
There we go. One of the ones that I hated was the Skyrim claw puzzle.
Never played Skyrim.
How many people figured that out without Googling it or having someone tell them? I actually think very few. Basically, you might have just gotten it by like random chance as well. I wonder how many combinations there could be. Basically, I think it's 3 symbols on a spinny thing. And you have to, I read the journal. You and 4 other people. But I don't even remember how I figured it out. It's been way too long. But you have to have a combination of symbols. And the way that you find the combination of symbols is you open your inventory, and Skyrim had this like 3D model viewer for all their items. And you had to rotate the claw item that you had looted, and the symbols were on the bottom of the claw.
Was that a mechanic that had been introduced at any point?
No.
Or
and as far as I know, they use it for claws moving forward, but I don't think they use it for anything else.
Shoot.
Who inspects items? Exactly.
I forget what game I played recently where just you would have to do something and the mechanic for it had never been introduced before, and you were just expected to fumble around and figure it out. And it was really, really frustrating. I mean, it's one of those things where you go back and you remember older games and you're like, oh yeah, that was like so much fun. And it was like, right, yeah, it was fun because I only owned 4 games and I was 9 and had absolutely nothing to do but play this game.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm at the point now where if you want to put white paint on something, honestly, I'm trying to figure out what game I would care about it being there and find it not fun. Like if it was a puzzle game and the whole point of it was to solve the puzzle or something like that, I might find a super obvious indicator kind of patronizing, you know? Like
it's interesting because like someone brought up like, oh, there's no paint in Origins or something, one of the newer Assassin's Creed games. But the contrast I would give you there is the old Assassin's Creed games, it was actually like where you had to climb was quite specific. In the new Assassin's Creed games, you're just Spider-Man. You can just climb on any. I haven't played Mirage, maybe it changes there, but in Origins and Odyssey, you can just like climb on anything basically all the time. Like it's not. You don't need paint if it's a vertical surface. Just I don't know, unless it's like very obviously extremely smooth. But if it has pretty much any texture to it, you can clamber up it. So I don't know. Bird poo for leaps of faith. That is a thing, but that's another one. Like I was talking about earlier, where I think Assassin's Creed has done this type of stuff in the past, where there is actually a pretty good kind of reason behind it. And usually when you walk up to one of those leap of faith points, there is actually like eagles or other birds sitting on that thing. So when they fly away and there's bird poop sitting there, it's actually extremely logical. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see that, like having to like pushing yourself to make there be a reason for whatever's on there. Like,
I like that personally.
Yeah, I get that. We've got one of our discussion questions is, what was a time that you could have used a hint? And there is one that pops into mind for me because it was an extremely frustrating thing for me. I looked up 2 things for Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I looked up where to find some stupid thing where a meteor goes or something, because there's actually 2 places on the map that match the description. Mm-hmm. So I spent like a bazillion years wandering around in snowy mountains looking for the thing when actually it was somewhere else.
Got it. That sucks.
Was not on me. And then the other thing that I looked up was you infiltrate this cultist base. I can't remember what anything's called because I played that game like 5 years ago or something now. But you infiltrate this cultist base. It's like a really annoying stealth segment, and you finally get to the end of it, and it's not obvious where to go. And I felt so annoyed because all you have to do is use your Sheikah vision or whatever. I can't even remember what it's called anymore. And there's a wall that's breakable. But
I don't like those types of things.
There was no obvious reason for me to do that.
Yeah.
Other than, if I was playing Batman Arkham Asylum and it was just the most obvious thing whenever it's not obvious what to do, that I would just flip on detective mode and it would just show me exactly where to go. Like, sure, I would have thought to do that. But I was really, really frustrated that I looked it up. What do you guys? They're saying I'm a gamer? What does that even mean? Apparently other people got stuck there as well, but yeah, I felt really bad looking it up. I was really annoyed. Anyway, it's a metal wall that can be moved using a power. Yeah, but I didn't know it was metal.
Does it look metal?
And I don't
Is it appearance metal?
I don't know. I don't remember, obviously, because I didn't even remember it was a wall that can be moved. It just
yeah,
it was not obvious to me.
I'm sure I have lots of examples. I just don't remember.
I had just gone through a thing like sneaking past guys. It was stealth time. It was not like pick up a giant metal thing and I don't know. It was jarring.
There's definitely been a few times where I've been stuck in a room and I absolutely cannot figure out what the heck I'm supposed to do, and I'll spend a long time trying to figure it out and then finally be like, okay, I give up and Google it, and then realize when I came in the room I checked my corner on the right and the hint was directly to your left. So when I checked the corner and then kept moving in and then eventually looked left, it was past me. So I just never saw it.
Right.
And it's oh my good. And then I'm much deeper in the complex by the time I missed this thing. So I didn't think to go all the way back to the beginning to see it. And it's just oh man, there's been times like that for sure. But I don't know. This stuff doesn't bother me too much. When it's egregious, in the picture for Final Fantasy VII, it's kind of a lot. And it looks a lot more out of place, in my opinion, than the paint splatter on the ladder on the left. The ones on the
this looks like somebody spilled a can of paint.
Yeah, so that one's I'm kind of fine with that. The one on the rocks on the right is.
What's funny about this one is they could have made it blue or purple, and it could have looked like algae growing on the rocks.
Yeah. I think
why yellow?
I feel like there was probably a better way to accomplish that. A more subtle way. The Tomb Raider one with the white paint, it's more subtle in my opinion.
Maybe it was too subtle. I mean, here's something that we have to remember. It was George Carlin who said, think of, the most average person or whatever. Half of people are dumber than that.
Yeah.
And I don't even mean that in a rude way or anything. I just mean it's fine for you to say, well, the game should be less obvious, but I mean, what if that is how obvious it needs to be for 20% of gamers, or wherever that line works out to, because everything's a spectrum, right? So obviously a difficulty slider would be ideal.
Yeah.
But if I'm a game developer, actually that shouldn't be that hard.
I don't think so.
If all that slider does, indicator slider, is just takes that one texture and just fades or unfades it.
Two different sliders, combat difficulty and puzzle difficulty.
Yeah.
And puzzle difficulty really just is the prevalence or visibility of hints. That'd be kind of neat. I think I'd like that.
People are saying the color was because of color blindness issues. Yeah, I could see that.
Oh, okay. Well, that's an easily solvable thing as well, though, right?
I also do wonder, is it as big of a problem today when it's so easy to find walkthroughs for basically everything? If you're
it's not as big of a problem, no. It's very easy to tab out in Google, or if you're a console gamer, just pick up your phone.
I was playing, what was it? Was it Sea of Stars? I think it was Sea of Stars. It was either Sea of Stars or Chained Echoes, and I think it might have been Chained Echoes. And at one point, you get to this dungeon where you do moving things around puzzle, where you have to move everything right, and then a thing makes it to a goal. It kind of reminded me of Crosscode, except that this entire game had not been that. It had not been a solve brain puzzles game. So they have you do one, and then they have you do another one, and it's quite a lot harder, and then they have you do a last one that's like hard.
Why are we doing this?
And I was just sitting here going,
yeah.
Can I just fight the guy at this point? Like I'm bored, so I just looked it up and I was like, yeah, if I sat here for another like amount of time, I probably could have figured this out, but I would rather just fight the bad guy right now because that's not what I signed up for with this particular game.
I really like this is one of the reasons why I like Bethesda games so much, or old ones, I guess. But I really like discovered small stories. So like if you find like a like backpack, like a hiking backpack and some like little hiking gear and like a little camp left behind, and there's like a note saying like, sorry, I ran up ahead, but I was just bored. I'll leave some like paint markings to show the easy path.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, just integrating it into the story.
I'm now totally cool with this thing, and I think it's cool instead of being obnoxious. Like I love little things like that, and I feel like you can cover a lot of things with
So
that.
tell me this, did we start this conversation not caring and end up caring?
No, I still don't really care much.
Much?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I care about pretty much everything in video games, at least a little bit.
That's fair.
But I don't really care much.
I'm going to try and think of something he doesn't care about at all. Nope, he would care about that.
I'm genuinely trying.
Yeah, something he doesn't care about. Okay, here's something. The unrealistic representations of the male physique. I think I got one.
No, I don't care.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't care at all.
Yeah. So Marcus,
you know what?
Phoenix or whatever.
No, I think I do care.
You care? Oh, shut up. You do not.
I care that people try to make a big deal out of it.
That's not caring.
Oh, darn.
That's not in the video game. That's just caring about people arguing on the internet.
All right.
That's not caring about the game.
Fair enough.
All right. Yes, I did it.
People are saying like microtransactions. Like I care about that a lot.
Yeah, he cares about that a lot. What are you guys talking about? No, you guys, you don't know Luke like I do. I can pick something Luke gives exactly measurably zero fucks about.
Yeah, that was pretty good. There's another argument going on at the same time, which is the like explosive barrels argument. Yeah. They're all red.
Of course they are. They're dangerous.
Super cool with that. They're going to be obviously marked in real life as well.
Yeah, they're explosive.
Yeah.
Caution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
what?
Like,
Oh, come
that's
on.
Fine. Why are they all red? I don't know. Who cares?
Because
but they're going to have some type of like label
fire.
on them. Yeah.
That's why they're red. They're red because fire. No, I'm sorry. You're actually objectively wrong about that one.
Yeah. So like, don't worry about it.